Welcome to the Vitality Lounge, a place where the uncomfortable questions become comfortable, where conversations, topics, and expert guests unlock the keys to vitality, empowering you to embrace the vibrant life you deserve. Now here's your host, Micol.
Today's guest is a 3-time Latin Grammy nominee, 1-time Grammy nominee, and a true artist in her soul, spirit, and heart. So please help me welcome on the Vitality Lounge, AleMor. Hi, AleMor. Welcome to the Vitality Lounge.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's amazing to have you. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
So, Ale, I always like to start the podcast asking the first question about vitality and what vitality is for you. What does it mean for you?
I love the word itself. I think it's very beautiful. Mm-hmm. I think of vita, like just life.
Yeah.
And I think of all of the aspects in my life that make me feel alive.
Yes.
Right? So vitality may look very different for different people, but for me, it looks like adding coconut oil to my coffee so it's not as acidic. For me, it looks like going to my boxing class in the morning. Yeah. It looks like hydrating properly. It looks like going out in the sun. It looks like, it looks different.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on in the day. Mm-hmm. And obviously music is a big, vital aspect of my life. Yeah. So
tell me how music came into your life.
Music has always been a part of me, I think. I don't think it was a situation where it just came into my life. I think it was just a part of me.
Yeah.
I remember being like 5 or 6 and setting up a whole show for my family, and have them sit down on a couch and tell them that there were like different parts of the show, and I had like outfit changes in the bathroom, and it was just this whole thing. And I realized that it was very easy for me to memorize lyrics as well, and melodies. So I think music was just always a part of me, really. Yeah.
It's funny, I have a similar story. I'm a dancer, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember I used to set up these little shows back in summer. And end of summer, I had my show, and I would direct a whole show and would put my brother in there.
Yeah.
I was like 8 as well, and I would do all of that. And somehow it translates, and it's still a part of my life right now. So it's interesting how you just have those things that are part of your life.
And I have amazing family members, and I have my older cousin. Her name is Daniela. She's actually a fitness guru in Colombia, and Daniela would write down an entire skit of it was like Greek gods. So each of us were like a different god or a goddess, and we had a whole.
It was all themed.
It was a whole thing, and we would have a whole performance, and we would like climb the tree and set up these like flashlights, so they would be our spotlights.
Yes.
And I don't know, it was such I think art has been a part of my life forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about art, right? I think I've heard you say, and I see it in your music, your lyrics, it's part of also healing, right? Mm-hmm. It's a healing tool.
Yeah.
Ultimately as well. It's a form of expression. Tell me a little bit more about that. How is that healing to you?
My music?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I believe music is like an invisible medicine. Mm-hmm. I think I can recall plenty of moments in my teenage years when my heart was broken, and I listened to the perfect song to either cry it out or to feel better about myself, or to channel my anger towards that person. It just depends on what you're feeling in the moment. And I think music and just art in general are like invisible medicine. And music, especially for me it's different because I can view music as a listener, but I can also view music as a creator. And a songwriting session after you've had your heart broken can be very healing.
Liberating.
You can vent it out. You can, write out or just talk to whoever you're writing the song with about what happened.
Yeah.
That is such a vulnerable and beautiful space.
Yeah.
It's like therapy, you know?
I love that. I love the two words that you defined it, therapy and like this invisible medicine.
Yeah.
Nowadays we're bombarded with like medicine, modern medicine, pills, surgery, and all those things. And it kind of, in my opinion at least, disconnects us from who we really are and our body. And I think art has a way to put us back into our body.
Yeah.
And society currently doesn't allow us that much. So
Yeah.
it's very nice that you can do that and express that and then express it to everyone and your audience.
And I also think, I don't know if you feel the same way, we have overcomplicated things as society in general,
Hugely.
you know?
Yes.
I feel like if we are just plants, but with a lot of complicated feelings, you know?
Yes.
Like we need sun, we need water,
Yes.
and we need someone
Nutrients.
to take care of us, you know? Like nutrients, sun, water, and love. And like,
Yes.
that's all we need, you know? I feel maybe there's an excessive marketing of products that we don't necessarily need to be vital, you
It's
know?
true. Sometimes we forget, like, the simplest things are what makes us healthy.
Yeah,
Right?
like
Out
going
for a
outside.
walk. Exactly. Go out and get some sunshine, right?
Yes.
We're always sitting down in front of our laptops or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, get out there. The sun is healing. Get good sleep. Like, all those things are part of the basic things. Eat well. Nurture your body. And we sometimes forget about that. Listen to good music. Plants need music.
Yeah.
Plants grow with music.
That's another thing. I think what you listen to, what you sing out, what you say
Yeah.
is very powerful.
Super.
And I think it can either raise your vibration or lower it, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to be careful.
Vibration is big. Again, I think we tend to not feel vibrations a lot sometimes. We forget how to feel those vibrations. And music touches us,
Yeah.
you know, without touching us. How do you think, like, your music touches people?
Oh man, I love this question. I've had a few people go out of their way to write to me what my music did for them. There's one friend who was going through a big family loss, and there's a song in my latest album that's called Respira, which just means to breathe,
Yeah.
right? And she told me after everything was done that song was really her buddy, you know, like her breathing buddy in this whole situation. And it was such an honor, you know, for someone else, someone outside of me, to feel so connected to my music that they would bring them along as a companion in a hard situation. It was very moving for me. It was very moving. I've had people tell me that some of my songs, like, they listened to it with their spouse and it made them really think about where the relationship is going, and it saved their marriage for a little bit. You know, and you never really know how powerful what comes out of you can be, right? Because to me, it's just, you know, I write a song and I have to produce it. Like, the whole
It's work.
process
Also.
of it,
It's a process.
even though it's something that I love to do, it is work, because there's a lot of effort and energy and time and money that goes into it, right? So when you see that the result of all of that work is someone else having a better quality of life, is extremely rewarding for
Makes
me.
it all worth it.
Yes, absolutely.
You were saying, like, it's so important, like, the lyrics that you put and what we listen to and kind of the intentions. Also, the words we say have a lot of impact in general in life, not only for music, but just in general. And so how do you kind of pay attention to that? Or do you do that with yourself as well? Like maybe any intentions, affirmations that you bring through in your life? Or is it through music itself?
You mean with my music, or just the way that I relate to music in general?
In general.
Well, I think I try to remain as true to what I'm feeling as possible.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling angry, I will probably listen to a song that is a little angry, you know? Or if I'm feeling very happy, I'll probably listen to something like that. I think music has the power of amplifying what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe I choose to channel, like if I'm upset about something.
Yeah. I find it, by the way, a very healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
Like people, again, and I generalize, but I talk to myself as well. Like we sometimes hold things inside, and holding things inside keeps us tight, and then our body feels it, and then sometimes maybe that translates into actually illnesses, disease.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So being able to let it out through, might it be music, might it be painting, might it be dancing, might it be whatever form that is most true to you, is such a healthy thing to do. And at the same time, listening to music that helps you let go, and then just have that companion is just very healthy.
And I think we are both very lucky and blessed to have an artistic expression.
Yes.
Right? Maybe someone who doesn't have an artistic expression can also heal by just making a phone call and talking to their friend about what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Or writing something down.
Yeah.
Or going to the beach and going into the ocean, or just, movement of some sort, whether it's physical movement or whether it's the information that you have in your brain moving out, somehow.
Yeah, I think part of what we do with this podcast and what we also try to get out there is really, what are the different forms of vitality? How can you keep healthy? Might it be, again, with an art form, or is it talking to an athlete? Because that's another form of keeping healthy and getting your energy out, or your thoughts out. Because when you're into that, if you're working out and you're dying because you're working out, you're just in that present moment. If you're writing a song, you're in that present moment. And again, we have so many thoughts in our heads. We go all over the place. And it's so important for just stillness sometimes, and just being able to put that into whatever form it means to you.
I mean, I think the moment of pause is just as important as the moment of being productive.
Yeah.
I think you can ask any person who's trying to gain muscle mass, for example, how important it is to rest.
Correct.
In order for you to grow your muscles. And I think it's the same with everything else. I used to have this thought that if I wasn't doing something constantly, then I wasn't being productive. And I would get sick all the time, you know, because I wouldn't give myself the time to rest.
Yeah.
And I learned how to rest with my husband, actually, with Wiz.
Yes.
He has been very vital in my understanding of how important it is to take a day off and sleep, and take a moment. And also take a moment to feel everything, Yes. I remember when we had our second Latin Grammy nomination, as soon as you receive that information, there are so many emotions, right?
Of course.
And automatically, all of the actions that you're doing from that point on are for your future self.
Yep.
Right? So you have to fill out the form, your PR, this, that, everything that you're doing in that moment is for the future.
Yep.
And I realized I didn't give myself the time to feel excited about the news.
Yeah, because you started going in work mode. Okay, what do I do?
Exactly.
Yep.
Right away.
Of
and
course.
I remember having
so many times.
Yeah.
That's happened so many times.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't think maybe some people don't realize that you can feel overwhelmed with positive things as well, right? Because you didn't give yourself the chance to feel them.
Yeah.
And I had an amazing therapy session with my therapist where we actually like went back into the moment. She said, okay, what were you wearing? What was the sun like? What was what was the temperature in your house? What were you drinking? Like just trying to remember everything about it and going back to that moment and feeling excited and happy and proud and in awe and like shocked about the news, right? So yeah, I think having that moment of pause is really important. Yeah. And understanding that you can be overwhelmed with good news is also valid. Also, you know?
Of course,
so,
for sure. There's a lot of talk out there about balancing masculine and feminine energies and just feeling maybe that feminine, which is a little more art related, pausing, going with the flow, and masculine is a little more like workload. And we all have men, women, we all have both, right? But we tend to go work mode a lot of the times, even though sometimes we need to step back and be in ourselves. Being a woman yourself and having an art form, how do you express that when you're maybe on stage, or how do you feel that energy?
I feel a beautiful balance between both within myself.
I love that. That's very rare.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have never really thought about that. It really depends on the song, actually. There are some songs that require a lot of channeling of this feminine energy that is very sensual. There's a lot of movement in the body, and the way that I sing is differently, and it's maybe more subtle or maybe more flowy. Yeah. And then there's other songs that require a lot of like just I don't know how to say this because it's not power, because there's a lot of power in the feminine energy as well. But I think it just requires a lot more unapologetic energy. Yeah. Which can also be very feminine. So I don't know. I think I find a very beautiful balance of both within me. I do feel there's a lot more of the unapologetic energy. I'm not going to say masculine or feminine because I think it can be both. Yeah. When I'm on stage, than in my life. Yes.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
You spoke about your husband, and you have a beautiful, wonderful husband, and you share the same passion. And something that once we had talked about it is music for you is not just your hobby, your passion, but it's your lifestyle. And you embrace it fully as a partnership with your husband as well. And you prioritize that too as part of your lives. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that is in your relationship, or what does that mean exactly for you?
Oh, we had this conversation at the very beginning of our relationship. We have both found that in past relationships, we were asked to reorganize our priorities, and music not being number one was a requirement to be in these relationships. Yeah. And it was beautiful to find someone that felt the same way. Yeah. That would prioritize his music over everything else. And I do the same, you know. This doesn't mean that there's any disrespect in the relationship. It doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of compassion and empathy in the relationship. It also means that sometimes we prioritize our well-being over everything else. Yeah. And I think that balance has been the key to being able to work and live and do the the passion project with my husband, because we're together a lot of the time of the day. We're together a lot. Yes. And
it can be great, but also like hard, because in general, that's what people would think though, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm 24/7 with this person.
Yes.
But that anxiety comes because you probably don't know how to prioritize, or what is that you're prioritizing and what you're working for into that. And I feel you have it very clear.
I just think we each prioritize the power of the individuality.
I love that.
Yeah, like I know that he is his own person. He knows that I am my own person. I don't have this, he has his hobbies, he has the things that he does by himself, and I don't question them.
Yeah.
Because our relationship is based on trust.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a funny thing, and I've had a few friends that would hang out with us and will be like, "Oh, are you okay with him?" Like, I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm okay." Yeah. Like, he's a grown ass man. Like, he doesn't have to ask me. I'm not a mom. Like, he doesn't have to ask me for permission to do something. He's free to live his life, you know? And I feel the same.
Yeah.
I feel he honors the same with me.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, there's so much love in my relationship, and there's so much, I feel so free to be myself.
Yes.
You know?
So important. I think there's a tendency to always, or I wouldn't say to always, but there's a tendency to feel complacent to someone else, or to find approval into someone else. And the inner work is important. Yeah. First, find yourself, be fully your own person, and then you're able to share a life with someone else. If you were to, I guess, give an advice or a tip to someone that is listening, I would say in this case a woman, but anyone, like, what would be the recommendation to kind of get into that and maybe find this passion and synergy with someone? You have to work on yourself first. Yeah. I noticed. What did that mean for you?
So there's a saying that says water seeks its own level. Mm-hmm. And it's so true. I have to admit that my well-being hasn't always been like this. We
go through phases.
And before meeting Wiz, I was in another relationship that was working against me, right? I'm not gonna say that it was bad or that it was toxic. It's just I chose wrong, right? I chose the wrong partner. Yeah. And I feel when you attract something that is not aligned with you, it means that you are not aligned with yourself somewhere, right? So I would say that my first suggestion is to always work on yourself first. Yeah. And once you start doing that, you will notice how different people and different circumstances will start showing up for you in your life. And what that looks like for me, taking care of me and working on myself, means going to therapy if I have to, which I think it's such a powerful tool.
It's part of what we were saying, like, get it out.
Yes.
Right? Release.
Yes. Talk about things. I think becoming an introspective human is very important. I have this story where it's a funny story. I was driving and my husband was in the passenger side, and I was going to switch lanes to the right. Yeah. Which it's easier for you to switch lanes to the left when you're driving because you're on the left side of the car, at least where we are.
Yes.
Right?
In Miami, it's just difficult in general because you never know.
But he said to me, you can switch lanes now. Okay. He's like, go ahead. Yeah. And I took that comment as something that was not the comment at all. So my response and my reaction was like, why don't you drive?
Oh, wow.
Because I made it mean that he was saying that I didn't know how to drive, right? Yep. Where he was, and then he stopped and he was just very confused about my answer, obviously. And he said, I was just trying to help you. Yes. And I took a moment and I said, I need to be in silence for a second. I know it's a long drive. It's probably going to be awkward, but I just need to be in silence for a second. And I started to think back and to just trying to understand why I reacted that way. because my reaction was so disproportionate.
Of course.
From the situation.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remembered when I was younger, when my mom would drive, my dad would do the same.
Yeah.
But he maybe would do it like, apúrate, like hurry up and like change lanes or whatever.
Yeah.
And my mom would always respond in the same way.
Yeah.
She would always say like, I'm pulling up and you're driving. Like, why don't you drive instead of criticizing the way that I drive? And when I realized that that was the case, it was so empowering for me. And I just started laughing.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm like,
okay? Listen, I know it may seem like I'm crazy right now, but I realized that I would see this with my parents all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that I'm bringing something into our relationship that doesn't belong here.
Yes.
My reaction was not really mine, right? It was something that I learned. So I apologize for reacting the way that I did. I am understanding that it doesn't mean that you think that I don't know how to drive.
Yes.
I understand that you're just helping me.
Yep.
Right? And ever since then, it's been such a beautiful journey with him where we each have our introspective moments of understanding when we made a mistake, why we made it. And I think that's very important, you know, because you make a mistake, you apologize, but then you don't do something about it, you're going to do it again.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But yeah, that was a whole
like
story.
That
Whole story.
I love that story. And I love that you were able to just be like, I actually need a moment of silence. Like, I need a moment here, even if we're together, you know,
to understand.
Let me take this for a second, understand, and then from there, figure it out and apologize or talk about it if it's something that has to be talked about. That's wonderful. Yeah. There's a lot of energy that comes into being on stage and giving yourself to people.
Yes.
Right? At least when I dance, for example, and I'm performing, in that moment, I'm just giving all of myself to the crowd. And sometimes we need to also kind of recharge and protect that energy. Yeah. What is your way of recharging, protecting that energy, or giving that energy at the same time as well?
Well, giving that energy is easy for me when I'm on stage. I've performed in places where everyone who's in the audience is obvious that they have forgotten that we're going to die one day. And they are so worried about things that are really not important.
Yeah.
So I noticed that, and I kind of do this little meditation right before I go on stage where I ask to be a source of light for whoever needs it, right? And it starts slow. I notice that people are starting to connect, and then by the end, or like by the end of the first set, for example, everyone is really connected to what's going on. And that's a beautiful thing. So giving my energy is very easy.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm done with a big performance, the way that I recharge is by staying home.
Yes.
Right? Not interacting with my close circle of people, or maybe just not interacting at all.
Yeah.
Or doing all of the things that I want to do by myself.
Yeah.
Right? So it can be sleeping in. It can be going to the beach all day, you know, and reading my book.
Yeah.
But it usually means my recharge usually looks like that.
Yeah.
It looks like me being home doing the things that I want to do. And a lot of those things are very manual. I don't know, maybe I'll like find an old denim jacket and I'll start like painting it or like customizing it, right? Or maybe I'll like clean out my clean and I'll just pull out things that I don't wear anymore, you know, like maybe it looks like that. It looks like just me cleaning, organizing and outside, you know?
Well, you truly are a source of light. I love that sentence as well. I actually have a little card that says that on my phone.
Really?
It's just like, be a source of light.
Oh, I love that.
And it's a good reminder, because we all are a source of light, ultimately, if we really embrace that feeling and believe it, ultimately. We sometimes, again, walk around and not know, but we all have our little flame. And people perceive that we are in that, right? Ale, I want to do something fun.
Okay.
You do something cool, but
I'm
it's
ready.
more than something that you will do. Because you do something that the first time I saw you perform, I was like, that's crazy. I can do this kind of trumpet thing just with your lips. And I love that. And I think it's so cool and so unique. And I kind of want to bring that to the audience today.
Okay.
So do you want to do something like that for us?
Yes, we can do something like that. Let me choose a song that everybody will recognize.
Yes.
Okay, I am going to move this back because the trumpet is a little bit loud. L'avion rose?
Yes.
Maybe anyone? Yeah, that's my little surprise in my shows.
So cool. And
Thanks.
even if, I mean, obviously you found this and it's your little surprise and it's so unique, but I don't know, the people that will see you and listen to this, like you were, even in that moment, fully present.
Yes.
In that. You close your eyes and you get into it. And I could feel it. I'm like, okay, can we stay here for like 5 minutes and just listen to this, you know?
Thank you for that.
It's really wonderful, and I invite everyone to go and see one of your shows if and when they can, or to listen to your music.
Thank you.
You have some new music coming out.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about that.
Oh, I'm very proud of this song. So this song is called Dar Idar, which is a play on words with the saying give and receive. But instead of saying give and receive, we're saying give and give.
Okay.
This is a song that came to the world with my friend Munir Hassan. He's a multi-instrumentalist, beautiful human from Brazil. And the song talks about that journey of your life, you know, like you make a few mistakes, you maybe fall down a little bit, you are you're choosing your family,
Yes.
right? And you are learning how important it is to give and give,
Yes.
right? And recently I had a conversation with Munir, and he told me where the concept of Dar Idar came from. And he said that he relates it directly to the planet, to Mother Earth, right? So Mother Earth just gives and doesn't expect anything in return. And we continue to take, right? And we take, and maybe we cut a few trees down and we plant more, and our planet is always there, giving, right? And he said that he found so much inspiration in that he wants to be more like Mother Earth and just give and give without expecting anything in return. I thought that was very beautiful. And I think it's a very powerful message. And I think it's even more powerful in the arts industry because there is this weird sensation of competition, right? And I say weird because I don't see it as a competition. Because to me, art being so subjective cannot be a competition because it can't, like,
touches everyone in different ways.
Right. And everybody expresses themselves in different ways, and it doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong or right. Some of them might have a better quality of it than others. I know that the way that I was writing songs 10 years ago is not the way that I write songs now. So I know that I've become a better songwriter and a better musician and a better human being as a result, right? But there's not really a competition. And in at least in my industry, you could find a lot of like secrecy on how to reach your next goal. And I don't think that serves anyone, right? So if you really want to know how to record a song and I know what you need to do and you come to me and ask me how to do it and I don't give you the information, it's a disservice to the craft and to the world, right? I think that. I think that if you don't let these things flow, they get stuck and then they start smelling bad,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
then they, like they go bad.
Yeah, not everyone thinks that, but I think that's a wonderful way to approach it as well. It's
Yeah.
like, why not give if I can?
If you can, exactly. Exactly.
And
So
it always has a way that comes back to you, in my opinion, at least.
it always
comes
does.
back to you.
It always does. I have a story about that.
You have a story?
Yes. It was COVID. My brother had moved back to Colombia. He was struggling a lot with, with money, as we
Yeah.
all were.
Yep.
And he called me and he asked me if I could help him because he had run out of money and he didn't have money to buy groceries.
Yeah.
And I Venmo'd him $100. $100 in Colombia is enough for, it's like good. It's a good amount of groceries, right?
Yep.
I finished performing that day and I received a $100 tip from a family that was performing, that was there
That's
when we
crazy.
were performing. And I saw that and it was such a full circle and such a, like I felt so aligned
Yes.
with the universe in that moment.
Yes.
I think that's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
You give and maybe you don't receive in the same way
Yeah.
or right in the same time, but you receive it always.
Yes.
That's the story, or that's one of the strongest messages that I live by.
Yeah.
And so I feel very aligned with this song.
The song.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's coming out on Monday, on the
Monday.
with the new moon.
Amazing, which makes all the sense as well.
Yeah.
'Cause new moon is a new phase and
Yeah.
the start of a new cycle.
Yep. And I actually have a concert here in Miami
Okay.
on June 28th.
So everyone who's
So-
listening,
Would love to see you there.
yes, for sure. Ale, I always want to finish up with like maybe a word of advice or a motto that you live by and you want to share with our audience. Anything that you kind of want to share with them.
Yes. I'm gonna talk directly to the camera.
Yes,
and
go.
I'm gonna say, don't be afraid to ask for help. Yeah, please, when you need it, ask for help. You can. Yeah, that's my best advice, actually.
I love that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Ask for help. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help doesn't mean that you are incapable of doing something. It just it makes you human and it makes you accessible to people helping you.
Yes.
You have no idea the most beautiful relationships that I have in my life now are there because I asked for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AleMor, where can people find you if they listen to this podcast and want to listen to your music or just follow you on your journey?
Oh man. So if you just look up AleMor, ALEMOR, in any of the digital platforms, you can find my music. And if you want to find me on social media, you can type the same, AleMor Music, and you'll find me there. And thank you in advance for getting there. And thank
so
you for
much.
having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You've been listening to The Vitality Lounge with Micol Bach, powered by Gainswave. Make sure to subscribe to The Vitality Lounge wherever you get your podcasts. Gainswave is a clinically proven therapy that allows you to embrace vitality both in the bedroom and in your life. Whether to improve and boost performance, pleasure, and confidence, head on over to Gainswave.com. Thanks for listening.